If this lady makes you happy and she happen to be white, go ahead, go with her. It goes way back in the past, okay, when slavery was going on. It was known that, hey, black men, they slaves, you don't touch them. White women, they're, the master's woman, okay?
Right,
But
right.
we all know that it happened. And it did happen. They had to sneak around to do it,
Sure.
okay? And a lot of people lost their lives behind this. And a lot of people lost their lives behind this. So
Right,
that relationship in America is the most taboo relationship, the black male white woman
right.
relationship. And the ones who have the biggest problem with it, white men and black women have a problem with that. White men actually date more interracially than anybody, okay? But white women don't go up to them and say, "What are you doing?"
Because white women don't have to, though, because white women are just as wanted as white men. As a matter of fact, white women are more wanted than white men. The only difference is white men have power. The white women don't have power, and yet they can go around the world and get anybody's man. That's what they do. I'm sorry, but white women can take anybody's man. That's why black women are jealous of them. White women can go to any country and take their man. Have you noticed that kings and whatever it is of all countries will marry a white woman?
White men actually date more interracially than anybody, okay? But white women don't go up to them and say, "What are you doing?"
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that it
No,
doesn't seem.
they don't do
Yeah,
that.
it's not the same thing.
No, it's not. And just like when it comes to black men, if you see a black woman dating a man of a different race, we don't go up to them like, you know what I'm saying? We don't sell out, or we ain't looking at the guy all funny. But for the most part, black men don't really care about all that. They just trying to do them, whatever that may be. But if a black man is dating a woman of a different race and he has maybe the aura of success, then he's looked at funny and called, even from his own family, he could be called sellout and all his other
Because
stuff.
the black man that's with this white woman, and he's moving up the social ladder or something like that because he's
Yeah,
with a.
that's what it is.
The black man that's with this white woman, and he's moving up the social ladder or something like that because he's
Yeah,
with a.
that's what it is.
Why does everybody have to judge everybody?
We have to recognize it as this. All of that is stemmed out of racism. I mean, we have to call it what it is. I mean, people are human beings at the end of the day. I mean, we all want the same things. And, focusing on color and all this other stuff, I mean, to me, like racism is a form of mental illness, in my opinion. If this lady makes you happy and she happen to be white, go ahead, go with her. Now, I notice white men have very strict standards when it comes to their women. What I mean by that, they want them to work out,
Yep.
want them to keep themselves up,
Hmm.
they want them to work out,
Yep.
want them to keep themselves up,
Hmm.
even to the point that white women get plastic surgery
Oh
to
yeah.
keep themselves up.
Right. Yep.
Want them to keep themselves up,
Hmm.
even to the point that white women get plastic surgery
Oh
to
yeah.
keep themselves up.
Right.
Now, I noticed that when white women get around 35 and start to go at older, a lot of times white men, if they aren't married already, it's hard for them. They will be rejected a lot of times by white men. And a lot of times I know these older white women go with black men, and black men would take them wherever how they are. We would accept, women that even have weight or have curves. A
Well,
lot of
I think
men
that's
love
more
curves.
of that. I think I love that about black men. Black men don't seem to have these crazy standards of women have to be this skinny, and I think and that makes women insecure. Why is that? Who the hell do these white men think they are anyway? So you know what, white women, you get to a certain age, go after a black guy.
That's the answer to your problem.
That's the answer. You know what? Forget about these white men. You know what? They don't appreciate you the way you are. Go after a black man.
Yeah,
We
that
figured
I
out we
guess
figured
so.
out the we figured out the answer to all of life in this little episode.
I'm one for more specifically exposing the racism of the oh so oppressed white woman. Like with my video I did a while back, how oppressed women rule the world. I was responding to some bullshit that Tariq Nasheed had said, and claiming that white women were so oppressed, and uh, 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 how white women and black men, they have never been free, unlike white men, black women. And he made it seem as if white women, they are just victims of the white man's dominance and control. Like they would only be racist because they're going along with their oppressors, who are white men. And he was totally wrong on the Salem witch trials, using that as like an example of white women and the oppression that they've had to deal with. So I had did a video on how oppressed women rule the world, okay, through their men, and being that they are the primary beneficiaries of white racism. And I had recently did a lengthier stream on this subject, which I had put on private, although I may take it off private for a minute. And in this stream that I had done, and my prior videos on white feminists, the suffrage movement, etc., I asked that y'all check those videos out. I spoke on how white women build up their self-esteem heavily off of black men. Like, although I know that black men are the most attractive men on the planet, being that they represent the original man with the more dominant traits, it is still natural for women to be more attracted to the men of their own race, men who are a reflection of themselves, of the opposite sex, that is. White girls, they will still choose New Kids on the Block over New Edition any day, and they will choose the Jonas Brothers over Jodeci, like with a lot of those other white bands who they put over the many black guy groups of the 90s and early 2000s, despite how many albums that they bought made by these black male artists. Okay, they are still going to put NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, and that these are still the guys that they are going to desire, put on their bedroom walls. And it's not just about what their parents will think if they put a black dude on their wall. And I'm not saying that they're not attracted to black men, but they are going to have a natural attraction to the men who they can relate to the men who birthed them. That's how it's supposed to be. If you don't have an attraction to the opposite sex that reflects yourself, then there's something very unnatural about that. Okay? I'm not saying that you can't be attracted to someone outside of your race. I'm not saying that. But if that is not your primary attraction, I can't. But anyways. There are a lot of brothers, however, who feel that this lust that some white women appear to express towards black men is more about this deep sexual desire for black men. I was just listening to a video uploaded by a brother, and he was saying how the white woman told him how white women in general, like they tricked black women into joining them with the feminist movement, which is bullshit, because black women never really been in this coalition with white women, okay, including those black women who refer to themselves as feminists, okay. I'm speaking in general now, okay. Like I've shown and proven, the black feminist was really pretty much almost non-existent. Okay, I know y'all don't believe me because you used to seeing the propaganda pictures and stuff of Gloria Steinem, but like I said, many of those women were alone, and they felt alone because black women wouldn't join them. Okay, like your mothers and your aunties and your grandmothers, who you do not recall or know of being in any feminist movement. All right, but this white woman was able to tickle the ears of this black man, and I know he meant well. But the white woman, he said, recently told him that white women, they fooled us because they deep down want to be with black men, and they are the most desired men on the planet. And so I guess he was using this to give a message to sisters, like, don't let yourself be duped by these white feminists. They just want to get with your men. And y'all have to understand, okay, there is no white women. If we truly do love black people and black men, as the case with most black women, being that we were the only group of people when the Are You Interested Facebook dating app was examined, we were the only group of females to choose black men first and white men last, while all the other groups of females, Latina, Asian, Hispanic, white, of course, they chose white men first and black men last. So white women or no other group of women could be able to influence us like that we will disregard our men like that, okay, and dump them, as some of these brothers have been claiming and lying to you about, okay? No other woman can, now maybe you could try to say that men could lure women away, but no other woman is going to get a woman to lose attraction for her man, unless it's a case of where she is, this white woman is cheating with her men, if you understand what I'm saying. Now that might be a turn off to the women, black women. You know, and I had to leave a post in this video. I was like, don't fall for this white woman, because it sounds like she's trying to run game and tickle your ears with what she believes you want to hear. Because you got to understand, they are watching us, they are listening to us, they know what we are talking about up in here in YouTube, okay? They see the little gender war that has been created and bubbling over in social media. Okay, so they're going to play on that. Oh yeah, black women join white women in feminist movement, knowing that they never been in no coalition with any black women, knowing this. But they're going to play on it, and they're going to say shit like, see, white women, deep down, we want you so badly because you are the most beautiful, the strongest man on the planet, and everybody wants you. So these women are going to fool you just to get with you. And this being a brother who comes off as pro-black, see, this may tempt him to develop more of a desire for white women, because she's putting it to him as if these other women have such a yearning and perhaps more of an appreciation for black men that they would go this far to break up, I mean, to get with black men. They will go this far, okay, deceiving the women just to get with them. See, you know, as a woman, I know the slick shit that women may do, okay? But anyways, as I was saying, a lot of these brothers, they may feel as if this lust is more about this deep sexual desire that they have for black men, or this total physical attraction, or they believe that she, the white woman, has more of an appreciation for his physical features, penis size, etc. But you must understand that with women, it's more psychological, okay? All right? Women, they can be more turned on by just the idea that a man strongly wants them. You know, is very thirsty for them. They can be turned on by just the idea of this man desiring them, having a strong lust for them, so that can make the sex better. And considering that white women have been taught to believe that black men are so thirsty for them and want them no matter how unattractive and unappealing that they are, they have been made to believe that the black man will drink their bathwater and kiss their dirty drawers just to be in their presence. In fact, Tommy, he was speaking on how white women don't care about white men dating other races of women, which is a big ass lie, because everyone wants white women. This is what he said. White women don't care if they white men get with other groups of women. They don't question them like that, because everyone wants white women. Everybody wants them. So he claims that everyone of every race wants white women. Thus, they don't have to worry about other groups of women. Yeah, he loves tickling the ears of white These white female supporters. He really knows how to tickle their ears, I'm telling you. And they just can't get enough of hearing black women being dissed. They can't get enough of that. Tommy is their daily dose of Zoloft, okay? So understand that this is the turn on, not just the melanin, because they can't even appreciate that, or the phallus size, okay? White women are more turned on by the idea that the black man is most turned on by them. Like I've said, with women, it's more psychological because we are more emotional. In general, a woman cannot get turned on by a man who she believes doesn't really want or desire her. And I'm speaking in general now, okay? So the sexual satisfaction even is more about the lust that she believes that black men have for her. Do you understand what I'm saying? And do y'all remember that scene, that dinner scene in the 80s movie Soul Man? And they showed how the white woman perceived the black guy in her imagination as this out of control Mandingo stereotype.
Raspberry tart, Mark?
Oh, no thank you. I really couldn't eat another bite. All my life, I've only been able to think about one thing. White women! And now, at last, I'm going to have one!
And like I've been saying in my videos in regards to white women, they have been able to greatly build their self-esteem off of black men. Like I said in speaking on the suffragist movement, which was considered the early or original white woman's feminist movement, okay? The suffragist movement, which was around the time of the abolitionist movement, okay? And that's the thing, whenever there are black movements, if you will, then white women follow. Me too, me too. Same thing, you know, after the civil rights era and the black nationalist movement. Then you had white women. And then what usually follows that or go along with that is the gay, homosexual movement. Same thing experienced in the 70s. Same thing today, okay? The woman power, this and that, and at the same time we have this homosexual movement, or you know, it's no coincidence, okay? And like I was saying, during the suffragist era, or which was mostly during the 1800s or late 19th century into the early 20th century, like around the time of the abolitionist movement, white women did not care about not having the right to vote. They did not really consider this, or even female rights, women's rights in general, until they had learned that black men were getting the right to vote before them. See, this is where Tariq Nasheed is very wrong on things when he talks about what the feminist movement or the suffragist movement, what originally sparked it, okay? The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, with the 15th Amendment likely to be to give people of all races the right to vote. But the 15th Amendment did not specify sex. Susan B. Anthony and her friends became so furious that they began to oppose the ballot for people of colors other than white. And Matilda Jocelyn Gage formed a separate suffrage organization against the vote for African American men, the National Woman Suffrage Association. And I want you to hear quotes from some famous white feminist suffragists and abolitionists. Susan B. Anthony, social reformer, member of the Anti-Slavery Society, president of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. What words can express her, or the white woman's, humiliation when at the close of this long conflict, the government which she had served so faithfully held her unworthy of a voice in its councils, while it recognized as the political superiors of all the noble women of this nation, the Negro men just emerged from slavery, and not only totally illiterate, but also densely ignorant of every public question. Another quote from her, Susan B. Anthony. Mr. Douglas, that is Mr. Frederick Douglass, talks about the wrongs of the Negro, but with all the outrages that he today suffers, he would not exchange his sex and take the place of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. So basically, she's saying that it's easier for a Frederick Douglass than it is for a white woman, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. That sounds very similar to what I have heard more recently in regards to Barack Obama.
Oh, and didn't Bette Midler just recently make some idiotic comment in a tweet on how women are the N-word of the world?
Suffragists like Stanton could not abide the idea that black men might get the franchise to vote ahead of white women. Stanton didn't hesitate to voice her opinion that white women were superior to black men and thus more deserving of the vote. When she evoked these images, Stanton was drawing upon a powerful sense of her own class and cultural superiority. Furthermore, this appeal to prejudice, whether it was an intentional strategy or not, worked. One woman wrote Stanton and Anthony's newspaper, The Revolution, to declare that she had never thought or cared about voting till the Negroes began to vote, but now felt my self-respect rise. She went on, if educated women are not as fit to decide who shall be the rulers of this country as field hands, then where's the use of culture or any brain at all? One might as well have been born on the plantation. Elizabeth Cady Stanton had been arguing for years that it was women's lack of self-respect that caused them to defer their demands. Now, white women's self-respect, as this letter writer suggested, could be heightened by comparison with people of lesser races. Pleased by evidence that women were developing their self-esteem and so would demand their rights, Stanton seemed to not have worried that advocating women's rights on this basis and severing the movement's ties to its abolitionist and anti-racist roots might damage the cause's claims to universal justice. Social evolutionary theories of the time specified quite plainly that white women were both fundamentally similar to white men because of race and fundamentally different from white men because of sex. These evolutionist theories that white women were both the same as and different than white men opened up new social and political roles for white women as civilizers of the race, strengthening long-standing beliefs in white women's moral superiority. Moreover, the effort to establish the United States as an empire and the extension of missions, both domestically and abroad, fundamentally influenced the direction and content of white feminist thought in the late 19th and early 20th century. Stanton had identified white women's lack of self-respect, today we'd say self-esteem, as a barrier to her efforts at organizing. The woman writing into their newspaper confirms this, saying, I never had an interest in voting. What sparks the sudden boost in this woman's self-respect? The prospect of that the Negroes began to vote, and then she felt my self-respect rise. Paul Mooney, in one of his routines, spoke on how Hollywood seems to hate black men and white women, considering how white women are always being paired with beasts in films or being slaughtered in films. He believes that this is about Hollywood hating white women, but it's actually more about Hollywood propaganda. The image of the fragile, helpless white woman who every beast is trying to kidnap or sleep with or harm, this is what has been helping to keep white men on their toes, because like I've said in prior videos, the main role of a man or a patriarch is to provide for and protect his woman and family. I believe that the slogan to protect our women and children
I believe that originated with the KKK. I recall reading that somewhere, I swear. So it keeps white men on their toes as knights to always show white women as being the ones most likely to be raped, murdered, or victimized in some sort of way, and by some hideous monster or beast.
And it's interesting now how I was listening to a video uploaded by Kimberly Frazier on Jamie Lee Curtis and her latest Halloween flick. Yeah, there's another one. And Jamie Lee, she finds a way to bring Bill Cosby into this, giving this praise to the survivors or the accusers. I guess comparing this to her role, or comparing them to her role in Halloween as this woman who fights back. Even though she's being terrorized and she's in fear, she still fights back. You know, she's resilient and fighting back. So I guess that this is a message that the white women, or the white woman who has supposedly been the ultimate victim, is now fighting back. Fighting back against the monster who is terrorizing her, film after film. Do you see how white women continue to put down black men to build themselves up, to strengthen them, to empower them? I mean, it makes you wonder, if they didn't have black men, if black men didn't exist, would they ever feel anything good or empowering about themselves? I mean, it really shows the low self-esteem of white women. You have to think about it. Would white men put such focus on their delicate lilies and their need for protection if not for black men, or their fear of black men and needing an excuse to jail them, lynch them, attack them?
The reality is that white supremacy and feminism were completely intertwined at the root, and there is nothing inconsistent between white supremacy and white feminism. And once again, let me mention Gloria Steinem's comments on Barack Obama when she was campaigning for Hillary Clinton, because what she said, it sounded very much like what white women were claiming back in the days of the women's suffragists, trying to make themselves appear powerless in comparison to black men. Like when these Bill Cosby accusers, they tried to make the claim that they didn't report Bill Cosby assaulting them because he was supposedly so powerful. Now, we're supposed to believe that this supposedly powerful man, his word would be believed and heard over white women. When has that ever really happened in history? History has shown that even if a white woman were to suggest that a black man disrespected her in any sort of way, regardless of his class or status, he could very promptly be lynched. But they want to give you this impression that they have less power than the black male, although they believe that they are still more superior than the black male. It was the idea that the Negro male was inferior to the Caucasian female that actually fed into and boosted the self-respect or self-esteem of white women.
When the white woman's self-esteem is low, and when her own people sees her as low, or she's nobody to her own people, nobody to herself even, she turns to black men. She uses black men to feel more uplifted. Whether she depends on black men to uplift her through choosing her or flattering her over his own women. And she will even accept black men putting down their own women, black women, as a form of flattery or uplifting. Or it's by stepping on black men or tearing them down to build herself up, like in the case of powerful father figures like Bill Cosby and the black men just coming out of slavery who were given the right to vote, who were given some power. And see, the black women who were referred to as suffragists, it was on a whole nother thing, like with Ida B. Wells, who adamantly defended black men, considering those who were being unjustly lynched, and she went against white feminists or suffragists at that time, even though they have put her in the category of suffragists. Just like with black women in the 70s who were referred to as black feminists. those ones who were referred to, which was not, they weren't many, but those ones, it was usually about the injustice that they were specifically experiencing from white racist men. Okay. Do your research. Okay. I come with the receipts, the archives, the citations. Okay. A lot of these people, they're just coming along with their own narrative. Okay. But you could see my videos on white feminist myths, white suffragist movement, etc. But anyways, white women, now they know that physically they are not stronger than black men, like in the case of Ronda Rousey and I keep Floyd Mayweather, the brother that she just kept on trying to challenge and shit. She knows that she is not stronger than him physically, but she feels that with her white woman brain, that she could still be able to beat him, using her brain. And that's why white women, they love movies, like I said before. They love films like Wildcats and Dangerous Minds and The Blind Side. It's been quite a few others. They love the idea of a white woman teaching Nat Turner how to read, even though that's not at all what happened. I mean, that's not how or who taught him to read. A white woman did not teach Nat Turner to read. Now, I did read that a slave master's son, but I never read anywhere where a white woman taught Nat Turner how to read. See, that was Nate Parker. That was his wife's influence. That's him giving consideration to his wife, okay? I'm not stupid. And see, they love the idea of people believing that they are more intelligent or they are of a higher intelligence than black men. Do you understand what I'm saying? Them already wanting to be seen supposedly as equals to men, to white men, but they really like the idea of being seen as actually of a higher intelligence, not just equal to black men, but of a higher intelligence than black men. They love, why do you think there are so many white female teachers? They love being teachers and missionaries over little black boys, especially. It empowers them. And during the time of the suffrage movement, the suffragist movement, when they came together and formed this white woman coalition, they felt empowered. Black men helped them to feel empowered. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that black men were trying to help them feel empowered. I'm just saying just the idea, just them coming together and, okay, we're gonna bond together and we're gonna show the world or prove to the world, or we want the world to know that we are of a higher intelligence than the black man, and we're gonna set out to prove this, to show this, to convince the world of this. So now white women had this new feeling of empowerment. And you see this even into today, okay? You see this today, and with white women building their self-esteem off of black men, okay? White women in movies such as The Blind Side, white women feeling that black men lust after them, watching Tommy Sotomayor videos, black men who may put a white female on this pedestal. Is it really about them having a love and appreciation for black men? Do they appreciate what black men are doing? Absolutely not. And even today with this case with Bill Cosby, they are even more likely, white women, to come together and join a coalition if it means taking down black men. Think about the careers of Nancy Disgrace, or Nancy Grace, Diane Diamond, and there's a couple of other ones I can't think of. But their careers were catapulted, or Nancy Grace ended up getting her own show. And these women, their careers blew up after they started targeting brothers like Michael Jackson, Gloria Allred. Now, I remember when her ass was being clowned on Morton Downey Jr.'s show. Yeah, Morton Downey show. Yeah, that was the name of it, back in the late 80s, and she was being clowned. But she has become this very powerful figure, and the main men that she has targeted were black men. Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby. Notice how you have these white women, the Bill Cosby accusers. Notice how there are these white women who were prostitutes, convicts, drug addicts, mentally ill. Now they're appearing more empowered or powerful by bringing down a black man who may have been seen as more powerful than them. A black man who, in a sense, could buy their time and sex. You know, before this, probably no one regarded them. Definitely not their own people. But they feel empowered, them coming together to take down this black man, this powerful black man who was a powerful image, a symbol of black fatherhood through media. And as we know, media is very powerful. Like when they got that, was that New York Times or whatever, magazine or whatever that was, and they got all the white women, the 50 something white women, and they're sitting in chairs and they're looking all despite the tokens such as Harvey Weinstein, the primary target of the Me Too movement was Bill Cosby. They just threw these other white people's names in there. They were tokens, okay? So you couldn't see the obvious racism, okay? Bill Cosby, he represented the ultimate media symbol of black fatherhood, thus manhood. And if the white woman can place herself above black masculinity or black manhood, how much more empowered that she feels. Otherwise, does she even really care that much about equality to white men? Is it really about wanting to be seen as equals with white men? Or is it more about sending a message to white men? You see, we have this in common. We are better than black people. We are both white. We're only different by sex. At least I'm not a nigger. That's what they have to keep telling themselves. Just like those white trailer trash whose racism is more obvious and in your face, a lot of times they're white trash nobodies who their own people don't regard. They regard them as trash. But they have to keep telling themselves, at least I'm not a nigger. And it's the same with white women. At least I'm not a black man. Do you understand? So it does black men no good to participate in uplifting them. If you think that by putting down black women and uplifting white women is going to make you appear better than or higher than black women, understand that you are actually the ones who are being played or lowered. This is not about me trying to put down black men. I'm just trying to bring something a little more to your realization so you can think about something just a little deeper, if you understand what I'm saying. Because this may not be something that a lot of brothers and sisters even have considered. Just as black men want us to consider the games that white feminists may be trying to play with black women, black men need to also consider this. And this isn't just about feminists. You have the white male misogynists, or those who are part of the white men's movement or whatever, those who are liberal, Republican, you're not on the same team, okay? You're just going to be used. Whether it's by feminists, misogynists, men's rights activists, Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, right-wing, left-wing, we're not in any sort of coalition with them, and we should not try to be in any sort of coalition with white people. You're just going to be used at the detriment of your own people. I mean, look at how you have the Amber Rose, white girl. I don't care what, may be in her mother's DNA, white girl. Look at how she's become powerful. I mean, you're seeing more of these cases. Even though some of these brothers felt that they were pimping the white women, it's really become the other way around. Because I remember a lot of these women, including these Latino women, Asian women, they was like, like in the 80s, like they don't want to be with no black. They wanted to be with I showed y'all with the jungle, what was it, Yellow Fever documentary, and I showed y'all, and it was saying how the Asian women were, there were black men who were also seeking Asian women like the white men, but the Asian women were not responding to them. They only wanted the white men. you know. But you do see more Asian women you're seeing with black male celebrities like David Allen Greer and Dave Chappelle, because they're thinking, especially after they saw how J-Lo's career blew up and Kobe Bryant and how he got his woman this big ass ring and this and that, and brothers singing on how I can make you a celebrity overnight, and they're peeping this shit, and they like, you know, it's really a thing of these non-black women. They have been pimping black men, the whole Kardashian family. And I'm not trying to put down black men. I'm trying to give you something to think about, okay? I'm not on that gender war bullshit. I'm trying to resolve it and open eyes so you can see what's up. Unlike these persons up in here, they claim that they want to open the eyes of black women and they want us to get away from the feminists and we ain't never been fooled by shit, okay? We have never been in this coalition, you know, with white women. Like in the 70s and during the abolitionist era, if you got these black women who are supposedly supporting white women, you've had just as many black males like the Frederick Douglasses and I love Dick Gregory, don't get me wrong, but Dick Gregory and certain other black men in the 70s even who supported a lot of these white feminists, you know, because they saw them as oppressed. Like they felt that they were oppressed by the man, as you know. And I'm not so mad at them, because many of us, male and female, have been fooled by these hippies, liberals, feminists, suffragists, men's rights activists who are white, that is. We've been fooled. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, so-called conservatives, you know. So I can understand that. So what I'm trying to say, you can't say that one is necessarily worse than the other, okay? But I do look to black men first and foremost because they are the leaders. And the traditional woman, not the feminist, but the traditional woman with more traditional values, she is going to expect more from men, unlike women who claim they don't need a man. Look at Amber Rose. Does she look as if she has been pimped, like she's just another hoe on her brother's arm, or just a trophy or whatever? I know you had songs like Big Pimpin' and stuff, but a lot of these women are flipping the script, particularly these non-black women, and they're being celebrated. They have become celebrities, but like they say in the songs, Kanye with Twista, they making them a celebrity overnight, and they're hearing this, and they're seeing this. So you have these non-black women, especially white women, who are building up their self-esteem through black men. Women who ain't even talented or all that talented. Women who aren't really that appealing. Women who ain't even really that beautiful, if at all. Women who ain't that intelligent. Women who are criminals, thugs. Women who are drug addicts. They are using black men, or at least the black men shown in media, the Cocos and all that. They are using black men to build up their own worthless ass self-esteem, their own feelings about or against themselves. The ones who their men see as trash, these are the ones who are running to black men. The white woman who Morton Downey Jr. would clown their asses and disregard anything that they say, they empower themselves by taking down black men. You know, Gloria Allred, she may go after some tokens, a token here and there, but for the most part, she's been going after black men. And white women, they have really been feeling empowered since this Bill Cosby case. So, this case with Phil from the Advice Show, speaking to this white woman, letting her know that black men will accept you despite your weight, how old you get. He's going to still be accepting, as if black men have no standards, at least when it comes to white women. And look at how the white woman, she is just all giddy hearing this. You know, she's loving it. So she's telling her white sisters, so when you hit 35 or whatever, get yourself a black man. So she's basically sending a message to white women: when you are used up and white men don't want you no more. Now, forget about when they're younger. She's telling white women, when you're used up and white men don't want you no more, that's when you go and seek a black man. Do you see what I'm saying? Which is really an insult. And it also, what Phil is saying with this is that black men have zero to no standards, at least when it comes to white women. Okay? So I'm just giving y'all something to think about, because this is definitely an example of white women using black men to build up their self-esteem and their self-value and self-worth, because a lot of them who are the white man's trash, the white man's leftovers. The thing is, white women are becoming more and more unattractive. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm not just talking physically. Just like when I talked about the downfall of white women, and I spoke more on the 90s and how white women, like, when you consider Alanis Morissette and a lot of these butch-like comedians and shit, white women were not very appealing in the 90s, unlike black women, but see, now you have this Amy Schumer giving this image of white women that white men don't like, and they're just like with the slut walk and all this shit. They are becoming very unattractive right now. So, let them do their thing, but of course we still have to protect our people. And even though there are those of you who have like given up on black men, or you feel like giving up on black men, remember you still have sons, or you may still have black sons, okay? So we can't ever give up when it comes to seeking justice for all of our people, okay? Because really we have no choice. We all we got. But I have to first and foremost look to black men. I can make video after video after video defending Bill Cosby, but when it boiled down to it, I can't keep him out of jail. That was first and foremost his responsibility. So I'm just giving you brothers something to really think about and consider. Peace.